Fuck these nihilist cunts.
Hey, here I am. What's the phrase? Welcome to another What the Fuck happenings in the YouTube atheist community and debate fun. Such, maybe, possibly. Really wasn't that much fun. It was an okay night, though. I mean, considering all things considered, it wasn't terrible. Yeah, a lot of side conversations. I don't know if we got anything too profound. They did ban a lot of people. There's Piro included. Piro was kind of irritating. I mean, first really pissed me off because he was defending Google. He really was. And he was defending the whole slop that was allowed to become what we call the internet. All the capitalist horror-y that it turned into. I just find it really irritating that, people don't really appreciate. Smart people really should be able to appreciate how good things could be and how bad, some of this shit turns it into. It's like cable television just being, becoming the same, almost the same wasteland that it was, and that we only had this small little grace period where we actually had what it was really supposed to be. The internet was the same kind of thing. It had a little period there where, it was really lots of efficiencies, and then we gave it all to the middlemen and the resellers and the whores and the sluts, and they all turned it into shit. But anyway, so he already pissed me off in that conversation, and then the next conversation he's what the hell was it about? But he was just totally out of bounds, and so fuck him. It's funny, I can't remember what the second conversation was, but it'll come to me maybe, possibly. I'm very tired. I was there till like 8 in the morning, so it was kind of a long night. I'm really getting too old for this shit, and my health is kind of fragile, and complaint. But there's a point where, geez, I just, you can't. There was like this nihilist guy, and they just keep arguing the same arguments. They don't argue the opinions. They don't argue the logic you're using to deduce something. They just argue your right to deduce it in a way, or somehow like the counter argument opinions are just as qualified. And you just keep trying to explain, like, no, if I tell you that I know suffering is bad, I mean, it's just an absolute fact, and I can show you how it's bad by making nice, easy relative comparisons to a world with it and a world without it. And what I'm trying to get you to admit is that the converse, there isn't any such comparison to be made. The mechanism of the affirmative, the attractive forces are perceptual. They're created out of desire, and there's a huge corruption in terms of our perception of value. And, we don't do anything truly functional, truly positive. And that's why we don't, lament the non-existence of all the other humans that could exist, all the missing civilizations and all the other planets. We don't miss them. We don't sit here and talk about the Holocaust, which was the non-existence of all those civilizations. Our brain doesn't function right when you put desire in there and familiarity. It corrupts our judgment. It's like you have to have knowledge of something's existence before you can lament its non-existence. I mean, even Tyrannosauruses, we had to first create them out of fossils before we could say, damn, would be cool to see one of those in real life. But obviously a zillion different forms. There could be giant octopus, giant extraterrestrial octopuses or something. We don't sit there and imagine them and then miss them. You know, but well, anyway, the point I'm making, not so much, it's just that there needs to be some, you can't just keep arguing this, you don't have a right, or your opinion is just as good as my opinion, or some kind of crap like that. I mean, they either have an argument or they don't, and you just have to concede, well, look, you're a nihilist, insane, crazy fuck, and I'm not, and there's not much I can do about that. I mean, you either understand risk and understand that reward has to be worth the risk, or you don't. I mean, I can't force you to understand that math. Yeah, that's all. But I guess everybody just keeps taking it personally. It's like to argue that life is stupid is to argue that they're stupid. That's really not the same thing. So anyway, I mean, I wish I had more patience sometimes, but sometimes it is just that you just seem so redundant, and we never get to a resolution with these people. You know, I can't, like I said, how do I explain to somebody who doesn't get it? If they don't understand suffering, they don't understand how very purposeful and rational you have to be in your justification for imposing it, that it's the most serious thing in the universe, you're going to impose suffering on something, then you really have to have a reason to do that. And you know, if you can't appreciate that, you know, the philosophical ball game isn't going to be much of a game. So anyway, I don't want to defend make rationalizations. I do have a short fuse, and so I mean, I apologize to some people who I might have cut off before they got brillianter. Yeah, but you know, there has to be some form, there has to be some hope of resolution in a conversation, or it just becomes circular and redundant. And I've been there and done that so many times that, yeah, let somebody else do it. You know, because I don't want to do it anymore. Not the same arguments. Anyway, so I mean, part of it's on me. I mean, I sort of made that argument in the room that you know, it still always comes back to the fact that I can complain about the human race being dumbasses. I can complain about the religious fucks. I can complain about all this stuff. But the real problem is that I should be able to fix that. I mean, all it takes is a good argument. All it takes is, we see it can happen. So you can almost argue that it's my bad for, you know, not making the better argument, the more persuasive argument. It's our failure, not their failure. We should be able to outsmart stupidity. Yeah, really should. Yeah, it's kind of a good point. But anyway, so it's not like I'm walking away feeling victorious. I don't. And some of it's just because you want to keep a conversation moving. So I mean, sometimes maybe I pull the trigger too fast just because I know we're not going anywhere, and so I just see a bunch of wasted time. That was sort of the Pyrrho, you know, in the second argument, which I just remembered and forgot again. Yeah, but yeah, it was a real dead end. You know, we were talking about, I know we were talking about economics and different models, and I don't know how that led to doom. You know, but so yeah, then he was doing the old thing that Remy used to do now and then, and you know, I find it pretty irritating. You know, people start interviewing individuals about their anecdotal personal experience or personal impression, and I just see no value in that. I see no value in asking, you know, surveying a handful of the average American and find out what he thinks. Yeah, that was what he thinks is usually just drivel. He can't learn too much that way, especially in the context of a discussion of the mechanics of economics. So he was basically engaging a Polish guy who spoke pretty harshly broken English in a conversation about Poland's current status. And yeah, I saw that as being tediously annoying. I mean, that would have just been, you can only do that for a couple of minutes and then, yeah, enough of that already. I wouldn't sit and watch that program. So, and so I tried to get him to stop it, and he found that unacceptable and wanted to argue it. So I kicked him the fuck out. But anyway, like I said, he had already demonstrated his, his uselessness to rational arguments. I mean, he plays both sides of the street, says one thing, then he makes counter arguments. It's just no point in it. He's one of these wishy-washy, we'll just wait for the universe to fix the problem kind of people. And yeah, I don't see any function. If you really want something to change, he's not going to be very useful in terms of developing that strategy or creating the momentum and the mindset needed, the focus even. He doesn't do the vision thing very well. So anyway, yeah, so I don't know what else. Like I said, the evening roped along. It really wasn't, I think it had its moments. Some interesting chicory. Yeah, always helps. Yeah. Yeah, I've done really as much hard philosophy as I would have liked, but that takes you have to have certain people in the room to be able to do that, to be able to glean out of yourself. Bathtub guy, I might do like maybe a weekly conversation with the bathtub guy. He speaks reasonably coherent English, and we seem to get along. So I think we'll do some talk shows, see how that goes. Try to get something happening. Try to, make something happen. And that's so much about what this is. It's just trying to make something happen. Make the conversation mean something to people. Make it more interesting. All that crap. So anyway, what else? There's probably something interesting happened, and I'm just not remembering. But like I said, I really am marginally healthy. I'm right on the edge of not well. I seem to be getting through my days, but they all seem very struggly. Like I'm really treading in very thick quicksand. Whatever, not your problem. Seems there should have been some other news. Damn if I know what it was. Alright, so other atheist news. Yeah, it's kind of thin there too. Jay Sounder, My Misery and Me, is keeping up his videos. Some of them interesting, doing some personal perspective stuff, which is interesting, and still banging away at the basic subjects. So it's been good. Not much to know. Not a hell of a lot else going on. Even the adversaries have gotten kind of thin. There aren't any real good arguments out there to argue with. It's just the way it is. Because it's just kind of a dead period. So it's time to reorganize, re-strategize, and such. So anyway, I am working on projects. That means there's vague ideas rolling through my head. That once in a while I'll say, oh yeah, I ought to do that. Oh yeah, I ought to do that. Just don't get to it. What else? Yeah, sorry. It really isn't. Tenderfoot made a new video, but I haven't seen it yet. So that's not very informative. but it's probably stupid. It's like I'm a lunatic or something. So I don't know. Still got that contest out there. I do have to make a couple of videos, I guess. See if I can win the big prize. Yeah, I don't think it's likely I'll pass the judge's muster, but who knows? Might be worth it. And let's see, anybody else news? Yeah, I was really hoping there was something, but there's just not much out there. Not much good conversation to be had, or even good argument. You know, I should do that in the debate format. I probably should go in there with some agenda subjects ahead of time, give people a day's warning that here's the bullet points for argument. You know, this premise, that premise, you know, and see if they can unravel some of the basic points here of the fundamental interpretation of the evidence and what it points to in terms of our biology, our function, and our potential. Did see a little bit of another H.G. Wells, one of the British movie, The World to Come or something. And it was pretty lame overall story, but the ending had this good scenario because it was like this idea of reaching for the stars, and it sort of painted in a kind of a negative context, like, you know, human beings just keep struggling, and it's just always this new generation of people struggling to get somewhere, to do something, to accomplish, and it's just sort of an unresolvable dilemma. There's always going to be some other frontier, some other chase, and it does seem kind of futile and senseless to be paying all this price for you know, a game that'll never end, and that we're sort of just being gamed by the game. And so, in spite of the fact that I think they attempted to make it sound like it's worthy or it's worthwhile, you know, there was a clear ability to see the gross futility in that and such. You know, until next time, and such and so forth and whatnot.